Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel and welcome to my April TBR. I cannot believe that April is here already. I feel like this year is flying by. I am so excited though because we are getting so close to summer. Summer is the best season. I don't care what anyone says. I'm so excited to be in the warmth, and April is just a sign that like we're getting there. We're getting close. April is going to be a very exciting reading month for me. I am participating in my very first readathon. I am going to be focusing heavily on fantasy and romance this month, which makes me really happy. And yeah, let's just get into it. Okay, so just like a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. I'm going to start doing my TBRs just a little bit differently than I have in the past. What I really want to do is just kind of have more casual, less strict TBRs, because for the past few months I have been doing TBRs where I have like 15 books that I say I am for sure going to read, and those books alone. What usually ends up happening, because I am such a mood reader, is like 2 weeks into the month I'm wanting to read other books that aren't on my TBR, and I feel that like I shouldn't do that and I should only be reading the books that I say I'm going to read in my TBR videos, and so then I feel guilty, and so I don't read those other books that I think about. But then I kind of have a less fun reading experience throughout the month because I sort of like, force is a strong word, but like I don't let myself really read anything other than the books that I say I'm going to in my TBR videos. And I think it's just because like I would feel sort of silly if I make a video and I say, oh, I'm gonna read all these books, and then I do my wrap up at the end of the month and I didn't read any of those books. I don't know. This is all like me, by the way. No one has made me feel this way. This is like my neuroses. You guys are getting an inside look at. So what I am just going to start doing is I'm going to be kind of dissecting my TBRs into two parts. The first part of my TBR videos are going to be my for sure books that I will be reading this month, and those will be comprised of like books that I'm reading for readathons, buddy reads, highly anticipated releases that I don't want to wait and I want to read them immediately, or just like books that I know no matter what I am going to get to that month. And then I'm going to have my maybes section, and it's just going to be a list of a bunch of books that I'm thinking about reading, and kind of just like what's my mood, what do I see for myself for the month. But I'm not going to set any super strict rules around that. So that is what I'm going to be doing moving forward. I know that like it's not even a big deal, and I don't even know if anyone really cares about this, but this is just kind of going to be a mindset shift for myself, and I just wanted to communicate that to you guys. So without further ado, now let's get into my April TBR. So the first few books I'm going to be talking about are for the readathon that I am participating in this month, and that is Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte Spring Fling-o-Ween Readathon. This is happening at the end of the month, April 27th through 30th, and I am so excited. I have never participated in a readathon before, and I think this is going to be the perfect one to start with. So if you don't know, Gabby and Olivia, they put on now every season, I guess, like Halloween themed readathons just to like bring the fall vibes to different times of year, read spooky books, read horror books, thrillers, and it's just a good time. I've really enjoyed watching their videos and like everyone's videos who have participated in these readathons, and now they have the spring version. So this is the first time they're doing a readathon in the spring, and I'm really excited. So for the first prompt, we have read a book with pink or yellow on the cover. This is kind of to signify spring, Eastery colors, and I kind of like messed up on this one, but I'm going to stick with my book choice. Basically what happened when I saw this prompt, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And for some reason, my mind immediately went to The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, because the cover is red, but I was convinced that the title of the book on the cover is yellow, like the writing was in yellow. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I'll read that book. Great, done. Didn't think about it. And then today I was preparing for this video and looking for a picture of that book, and I realized the title is like off-white, cream, eggshell maybe. Some could argue that it's like a very light yellow. I don't really know. So I kind of feel silly picking that one now, but I'm still going to read this book because this is kind of cheating. But on the book, it says Cabin at the End of the World, and then underneath it says a novel, and the words a novel are in yellow. So there is technically yellow on the cover. You just kind of have to like focus on the cover to see it, but that's totally fine. So that is the book I'm going to be reading for the first prompt. If you don't know, The Cabin at the End of the World is a horror novel. It follows 3 family members as they go to like a cabin in the wilderness for the weekend. They are approached by strangers who tell them basically the world is ending, it's the apocalypse, it's end times, and in order to stop this apocalypse from happening, they have to kill one of the other. So like within this 3-person family, I think there's 2 dads and then an adopted daughter, one of them has to die. in order to save the world. And that premise just sounds crazy and terrifying, and I'm really excited to read this one. I think I'm going to pick up the audiobook. It seems to be pretty short too, so I think this will be a really good one, and just, oh, it sounds really creepy. And then the second prompt is read a backlisted horror or thriller, which is just like the easiest prompt ever. I'm so glad that they picked that. So for that prompt, I chose the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is like a super popular book in like the thriller horror side of BookTube. I've seen a ton of people love it and give it 5 stars. This book follows a book club in the South. I think it's like made up of like moms or just like middle-aged women, and they normally read kind of like boring historical fiction books. They decide to start reading horror classics though to spice up their book club. In the meantime, a strange man moves to town and children start disappearing. The women in the book club notice this and they notify the men in their lives and the men of authority in the town to be like, hey, children are missing and this guy is kind of strange. Spoiler alert, he's a vampire. And none of the men pay any attention or take them seriously, so the women decide to take it into their own hands. I'm very excited for this. I don't know like how horrifying this is, or if it's like campy or like what. I have no idea what to expect. I've never read a Grady Hendrix novel, but I know he's super popular here on BookTube, so I'm excited. The only thing that I'm nervous about is I know that there is like a scene with rats. I've heard many people talk about the rat scene. I don't really know how I feel about rats, but I may be skimming that section because it just sounds like it's gonna be gross, and I don't know if I can do that. But anyway, I'm very excited to read this and to participate in the readathon. Okay, and then another book that I know for sure I'm going to be reading in the month of April because I bought it a month ago and I like can't stop thinking about it and I'm just so excited to read it, is Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellafleur. This is a sapphic romance. It is based in Seattle. It has astrology elements. I believe one of the main characters is an astrologer or incorporates astrology into her job somehow. I'm not too sure like what the plot is about, but I know that we have fake dating. I know we have like opposites attract. The main characters' names are also Elle and Darcy, and I wonder if that's like an Elizabeth Bennet Mr. Darcy reference. I hope it is because oh my god. But yeah, I'm very excited to get to this book, and I think it's going to be the perfect like spring rom-com to read this month. Okay, and then the next book or set of books that I'm definitely going to be reading this month is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have been wanting to reread this series since House of Sky and Breath came out. I wanted to pick it up almost immediately, but I just had other reading plans, so I just decided to hold off. But it's time for me to finally do a reread of this series. I read the series for the first time like over a year ago, I think in like early January 2021, and I loved it. But I swear, like, I don't really remember anything from this series. I remember like the highlights. Like, I remember the important moments and like, you know, the general gist of the series, but I don't remember the details at all. So I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of like, I'm not going in blind, but like I'm going in more blind. I swear I see on Book Talk, people will put quotes from this series in like these beautiful edits. And I'm like, what? Like who, when did that happen? I don't remember at all. So I'm going to do a read of this series. I don't know how far I'm going to get into the series this month, but I think I will definitely read ACOTAR, and then I'm also going to read ACOMAF, and then I'll just see how I feel after I read this, if I want to continue on and read the whole series in April, or if I want to kind of splice it up and just read 2 books a month, and I'll just finish the series in May. But otherwise, I'm really excited, and I'm just curious to see what my reaction is to the series, because I remember when I first read the original trilogy, I liked A Court of Wings and Ruin the best, but I know that everyone says that this is the best book, so I just want to see like what my reaction is to the series and the characters, if I catch any foreshadowing, because I didn't catch any foreshadowing in what happens in this book and how we get to this book. So yeah, I'm really excited to read it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be like a comfort reread, and I'm just so excited. Okay, and then now we are moving on to the maybe section of my TBR. So these are books that I'm just thinking about reading, and kind of where I see myself going for this month and what reading mood I am in. And I'm telling you guys, like I think I've decided that romantasy, romance, fantasy, fantasy, romance, however you want to say that. Romantasy is my favorite genre, and I'm just gonna go like full on head first into the genre because I want to discover more books and series within it. I feel like the most popular romantasy series are ACOTAR, which I love, and then From Blood and Ash, which I don't love, but I want to find more. I want to find more authors. I want to find more series. I just want to like expand my knowledge of the genre, and I hope to eventually one day be able to put out like a romantasy book recommendation video. So I'm kind of making it my mission this month to explore as much of the genre as I can. So I'm just planning on reading like a ton of the first book in a romantasy series and seeing where it goes and what series I want to continue with, what series I don't think are worth it. So my Kindle is going to be doing a lot of work this month, basically. I don't think I touched my Kindle in March. I'm pretty sure this last month has been just like a blur, but she's going to be putting in work this month for sure, because I think almost every single series that I'm going to be trying to read this month is on Kindle Unlimited. So the first series that I might read this month is Zodiac Academy. If you are on Book Talk in any capacity, I am sure you have come across at least one Zodiac Academy edit, or like someone freaking out over it, or like a book recommendation video with Zodiac Academy in it. It is inescapable. It is for me, at least. If you don't know what the series is about, it follows twins who live in the human world, but one day they discover that they are actually the heirs to like a Fey realm throne, and they need to go to the Zodiac Academy to harness their powers and kind of, you know, become their full self. But unfortunately, there are 4 males, I don't really know, who do not want these twins to take the throne. They want the throne, and so this is kind of where the bully romance aspect of this book comes in. That is one of like the biggest tropes, is bully romance. So I actually DNF'd the first book in the Zodiac Academy series like a few months ago, but I don't have any like particularly strong feelings about the first book. I DNF'd it because I tried to start this book like 3 days before my wedding. I got married in September, and like the week up to my wedding, I was really stressed out and just like nervous and just everything. And I decided, oh, I'm gonna start a new book that'll help distract me. I tried to read the Zodiac Academy 3 days before, and I couldn't focus on the book, and like I don't even know what I was doing trying to distract myself with like a fantasy bully romance, but it didn't work. I haven't really thought about it since, and I don't really remember like much of an impression that it left on me. I do remember that the writing wasn't super great, and that is like the biggest thing that I hear people complain about this book, that the writing gets better as you go on. I believe this is like a 7 or 8 book series, but everyone says the first book you have to push through because the writing isn't the greatest. Going into it, I know that. I do think that I really would like this series after I get into it, because even the description of the book that I already gave, it's so much more vast than that from what I've seen. Like it really just goes off, and there's like so many layers to plot and characters, and just like it's a lot. It's a big series. And so I think what I'm going to do is try to read the first 2 books in the Zodiac Academy series. So I'm going to push through the first one, or maybe I'll like it, who knows. But if I don't, I'm going to push through the first one, and then I'll try to read the second one as well. And hopefully that will get me a little bit more invested, because this is a series that I want to like, and it has a super big following. So I want to see what all the hype is about. Okay, so the next book that I want to try to get to this month is Rhapsodic, which is the first book in the Bargainer series by Laura Thalassa. This is a pretty popular one online as well. People say it's like ACOTAR but darker. I don't know what about it is like ACOTAR-esque, but the series does sound pretty interesting. I know it is a Fae paranormal romance book. I love Fae. I love anything to do with Fae. But this book follows Callie. She is a siren. I think from what I've seen, she's basically been like building up IOUs with the Bargainer, who is like this dark prince of the night who's a fae, and he finally comes to collect. And I think it's basically like you can either die or give him something. I don't know. I think you and I both know what it is though. And something happens, something starts, but it is like deeper than that though. Apparently like other Fae warriors are starting to go missing, and there's like this big kind of mystery happening, and I don't really know. I don't really know. There's 3 books in the series. I don't know if there's going to be a 4th one, but there's 3 books, and I see a lot of people really like this one. So I'm intrigued. Another romantasy book series that I am interested in getting into, but I am a little bit apprehensive, is Guild by Raven Kennedy. This is a King Midas retelling. I hear so many people say that the book series is incredible. I believe that there are 3 books out, and a 4th one is coming out later this year. I've heard that the 2nd and 3rd book are like amazing, but the first book, I've seen people say that there's like very heavy trigger warnings for SA. I'm usually pretty sensitive to that, but I've seen just so many conflicting things, because I see some people say like, don't read this if you're triggered by SA, like it's way, way, way too graphic, whatever. And then I've seen people say like, oh, I'm usually very triggered by SA, but it was totally fine. So I don't really know. I would love, if you have read this book, if you could kind of, I know it's subjective, but if you could kind of give me an idea of like, how bad is it? Is it, you know, repeated? Is it very descriptive on page? Like, what does it consist of? And am I able to just kind of like skip it? Like, can I just kind of go past it once I realize what's about to happen and get back into the story? I would like to read the series just because people say it's an incredible series overall, but there is just very triggering content in the first book, I believe. So we'll see if I get to this one. I'm gonna kind of just see how I feel in the moment when I pick that one up, if I want to move forward with it, but I would love any insight if you guys have any. Okay, the next romantasy book that I want to get to this month is City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. This is a recent release, and I believe it's like an urban fantasy romance book. This is like literally Crescent City, and like I'm here for it, but it feels pretty much exactly like the plot of Crescent City. Our main character's name is Lauren. She's a human and she lives in like a supernatural world. There are witches and vampires and werewolves and just like everything. And she feels very ordinary. Her best friend goes missing and gets like kidnapped by demons, and she is determined to go get her best friend. So she teams up with a demon slayer, and he acts as her bodyguard and also knows, you know, he's like, you're a human, you're up against a lot, I'm gonna help you, we're gonna figure this out together. They like begrudgingly kind of start to fall for each other. It gives me the biggest Hunt and Bryce vibes. So I think this is going to be really great. I've seen a lot of people talking about this book on Instagram lately, and I have seen everyone giving it 5 stars. It is the first book in a series, and I just really hope that it lives up to that description because that sounds amazing. Another book I am interested in getting into this month is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. Our main character's name is Lara, and she has been trained to be like a warrior princess her whole life, and then she gets sent to like a rival kingdom called the Bridge Kingdom under the guise of she is going to be a important royal person's wife, but I think she's sent there to kill him. But then when she gets there, they like start falling for each other. So it's very much enemies to lovers. And then I think she kind of starts to unravel that maybe they aren't the bad guys. Maybe where she came from are the bad guys. So there are 2 books out with that series right now. I don't know if any more are coming out, but that sounds great. I've seen a lot of people give this one 5 stars as well. And I think it would be a great, great book to add to my romantasy repertoire. Okay, I do have a few other like romantasy series I'm thinking about getting into, but I'm just going to move on to like other books that I might want to read this month because there's a lot of romantasy books. I will check back in with you guys at the end of the month to see which ones I read and, you know, kind of figure out which ones are the best. I'm definitely going to be doing like a romantasy reading vlog as well this month, so you'll kind of get to see my thoughts as I do that. Another book series that I really want to get into very, very soon is the Kingmaker series by Sophie Lark. This is marketed as mafia romance at Hogwarts, which that's an interesting description of a book. I'm intrigued though. I gotta tell you, it does intrigue me. Basically what it is mafia people will send their children to this academy to learn how to be like mafia people and like badasses. And I imagine like they'll learn how to kill people too. So it's like almost like an assassin school. I don't know. It does sound very interesting. I know that this is kind of the 2nd generation from the Brutal Birthright series, which is another one of Sophie Lark's series. And the children of the Brutal Birthright couples are in the Kingmaker series. The first book is The Heir, and it is like a forbidden friends to lovers book. I believe that 2 friends who were raised together in the mafia life go to the school together and then fall in love. I can't wait. I think it's gonna be so good. I love any book, no matter the genre, whether it's like thriller, horror, romance, fantasy, where there is a school involved. I always enjoy that. I think it makes for a great setting, and I just know this is gonna be great. And even if I don't like it, Sophie Lark can write smut very well. So I'm gonna give that series a shot. If I like it, I'll continue on with the series, but I definitely want to see what it is all about because I have been hearing a lot of people talk about that one lately. All right, and then I feel like I'm gonna be pretty tired of wading through all the world building and smut this month because also every single romantasy series that I mentioned is adult and does have like spice in some capacity. So I might need a little bit of a brain break. I read Yoke by Mary H.K. Choi last month. I loved it, and I think Mary H.K. Choi is brilliant, and I want to read anything that she publishes. So I immediately, after I finished Yoke, picked up her other 2 books, which are Emergency Contact and Permanent Record, and I feel like this would be a great way to cleanse my palate between the books that I'm reading. I don't know too much about these books. I do know they have like fairly low reviews on Goodreads. I think people are very split on these books, but I just think Mary H.K. Choi is everything. Like, she is everything to me, and I feel like I'll like them. I don't know. I have very high hopes, and I look at these covers. These are so, so beautiful, and I'm just really excited. So I think I will probably get to one of these this month as well. All right, guys, so that is my April TBR. I have a lot of different options here. I don't know what exactly I'm going to be reading, but that is sort of just a taste. If you guys want to participate in Gabby and Olivia's readathon, I will have their announcement videos linked down below, and that will give you all the information that you need. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know, what are you reading this month? And as I said, any of the books listed in the maybes part of my TBR you have read and you liked or you hated, let me know. I would love to hear and just kind of guide me in the right direction of what books I should pick up this month. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys in the next one.